You ever get that feeling that something's about to change? Right now, the economy is whispering, sending out signals of a major shift. It feels a bit like a mystery that needs solving. So today, let's play detective. We're going to investigate the clues and figure out what they're really telling us. First up, let's look at what's at stake. And yeah, the stakes are pretty high. One analysis is calling this, and I quote, the most compelling recession and wealth transfer scenario since 2008. Whoa. That's a huge statement. It's not just hinting at a little downturn, it's talking about a fundamental economic shift, the kind that can reshape fortunes. So that begs the question, right? How can anyone be so sure? What are these signals that lead to such a dramatic prediction? Well, that is exactly what we're about to dig into.
All right, so every detective needs a toolkit. To solve an economic mystery, you need tools that can decode the signals the economy is sending out. Let's open up that toolkit and see what's inside.
The number one tool in that kit is the economic indicator. The easiest way to think about it is like taking the economy's pulse. It's a statistic, things like unemployment numbers or how many new houses are being built, that helps experts check the economy's health right now and, more importantly, predict where it's headed next. Now, these indicators aren't all the same. Some are coincident. They tell us what's happening right now. Others are lagging. They confirm what's already happened. But for our investigation, the really juicy clues, the ones we care about, come from the leading indicators. These are the ones that try to tell the future.
Okay, so with our toolkit ready, let's get to the good stuff. Let's look at the evidence. We're going to focus on three key clues that are practically screaming for our attention right now.
Our first piece of evidence is a big one. It comes from the bond market, and it's called the yield curve. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but it's sending a message that has a track record that is just almost impossible to ignore. So how reliable is this clue? Get this. According to research from Pacific Life, every single recession in the US since 1977 has been predicted by this signal with zero false alarms. Zero. It happens when the yield curve inverts. Normally, you get paid more interest for a long-term loan than a short-term one, right? But an inversion flips that. The market gets so nervous it pays you more for a short-term bond. It's a classic, flashing red light of economic anxiety.
Now here's the kicker. The US just went through the longest one of these inversions since the 1970s. And you might think, okay, but it went back to normal in late 2024, so we're good, right? Well, not so fast. History shows us the danger zone, the period of peak risk, actually comes after it goes back to normal, usually in the next 6 to 12 months. That warning light is still blinking.
Okay, clue number 2. This one builds right on top of the first. It's an index from the Conference Board called the Leading Economic Index, or LEI for short. And just like that yield curve, it's pointing down, sharply. You can think of the LEI as 10 different leading indicators all bundled together into one powerful signal. And lately, it's been falling. It's down nearly 3% over the last 6 months. This drop was serious enough to trigger a formal recession signal based on what they call the 3Ds rule. That means the decline has significant duration, depth, and diffusion. In other words, the problem is lasting, it's deep, and it's spreading out across the economy.
Our final clue, this one isn't about bond markets or complex data points. This one's about people. It's about how businesses and, well, how we are feeling. And to put it bluntly, confidence is cratering. And look, this isn't just one group of people feeling nervous. Research from Apollo makes it clear. Consumer sentiment is in the gutter across the board. It doesn't matter if you're in a high-income household or a lower-income one. The pessimism is everywhere. This anxiety is hitting everyone.
And you can see just how deep that anxiety goes. A record number of people now believe that business conditions are getting worse. And the worry about losing a job, it has hit levels we typically only see when we are already in the middle of a recession. It's like people are already bracing for impact.
So let's recap. We have 3 really strong clues, all pointing in this same uneasy direction. But every good mystery needs a twist, a wild card. And in this economic story, that wild card is tariffs. To really get the scale of this twist, just look at this number from the Richmond Fed. The average tariff rate, basically the tax on all imported goods, could jump to a staggering 17%. To put that in perspective, in 2024, it was just 2.2%. That is a monumental shift in trade policy.
So what does a change that big and that sudden actually do? Well, according to analysts, it injects a historic level of volatility and uncertainty into the economy. All of a sudden, businesses find it way harder to plan, to invest, to predict anything. It just pours gasoline on that fire of economic anxiety we were just talking about.
The evidence is on the table. A warning from the yield curve, a falling index, tanking confidence, and a massive policy wildcard. So what's the verdict? What do the experts think is coming? A recession or something else?
There are really two main possibilities. The first is a classic recession, which is just 2 straight quarters where the economy actually shrinks. The other possibility is stagflation. And stagflation is this nasty mix. It's the worst of both worlds. The economy slows down, so lower GDP, but at the same time, prices keep going up.
So, when you look at what most economists are forecasting, the picture gets pretty clear. The consensus for 2025 is that GDP growth will be lower, while inflation will be higher. And what does that add up to? Well, that is the textbook definition of stagflation.
In fact, because the causes here are so unique, especially the huge role of trade policy and global tensions, some economists are giving it a new name. They're calling it a geopolitical recession. The idea is this isn't a normal downturn. It's being driven by a whole different set of international forces. So the clues are all there. All the signs are pointing to a turbulent road ahead. The mystery we started with isn't really about if the economy is going to change. No, the real question now is who's going to be prepared for it.